rut's in full swing, and I just got it done in Iowa.
XOP presents Whitetail Addictions.
Putting in a couple food plots. We picked out a couple locations that are going to prove to be pretty good for a kill. Yeah, I don't even call it a food plot, I call it a kill plot because the location is just prime. I'm going to put some turnips, radishes, nice little finger here in between the woods. Hopefully it'll be pretty good for the early season and late winter. Well, I'm back in Iowa. Been hunting pretty hard. October 8th, Central Iowa. We're set up on a little hedge row along a couple of food plots that we have. We have some beans and a little food plot of alfalfa. It's a pretty good transition. And also we had some tenure just came out and it got cut. And in the last 3 or 4 weeks it got real green. There's some nice clover coming up, so the does are eating on that pretty good. There's a couple good bucks in the area. I had a pretty good encounter with the split G2 buck, as I call him. He was a big mainframe 8-pointer with just matching splits, kind of like a muley. He was at 40 yards, kind of hung up and never closed the distance. Dad actually ended up shooting him later in the year.
I can't believe I got that done. The split G2 buck that Cody filmed earlier. This one was a mule deer, not a whitetail, but the discrepancy how big it is, we'll see now. We'll be able to put tape on it. Get down and track here. All with coyote trails and tracks, and they've just been having a good old time down here. So we're gonna tag this deer.
I went back to Illinois the following week. It was still warm, but it wasn't extremely hot. It's October 17th. I'm back in southern Illinois. I've been on Iowa for the past week and a half, and it's been pretty good. I passed up some pretty good bucks. Passed up 8 season, the deer were just really slow. They're stuck in the corn. It's been really hot. Now it's been a little cooler, so I figured I'd shoot down for a couple days and see what's moving. So let's see what we see. Still wasn't seeing what I was looking for, so I had to take scouting to the next level. I had to get out and really pound the ground and see if I could find, some sign. Maybe I wasn't looking hard enough. That morning scouting, I found a really good spot. It was tore up. There was rubs, scrapes, beds. It was just kind of a little home area on a tiny little knoll inside the timber that I could tell this buck was using. I didn't know what it was. I haven't seen any good bucks in the area lately, but I knew it was a good buck who was making the sign. I knew I had to manipulate this spot for the next morning hunt, so I immediately checked on my cell phone what the wind was going to be and kind of looked around and made it happen for that next day. I didn't want to give it any more time because I knew when that buck got back there, he was going to know something was up. It's October 18th, Southern Illinois. I just set up yesterday in the heart of a big buck's bedding area. I did a lot of scouting yesterday, did a lot of looking around, and I found a little tip of a knob on the backside of a ridge where a nice big buck, I think, has been living. He's got the place tore up. There's rubs everywhere, scrapes, a bunch of big beds. So we're gonna sit tight. Let's see if he comes through. At about 7:15, that buck comes into the bedding area. It was just one of those picture-perfect setups. The buck came right in my shooting lane, at him at 16 yards. Pulled the camera over, put it on him, hit record, drew, and just drilled him. It was perfect. Come to find out that I must have double tapped the record button or not pressed it hard enough. I screwed up. I must have double tapped the record button when that buck came in. Didn't get any footage. Filming yourself is just really a tough thing to do. It's just, there's so many things going on at once. You're grabbing your bow, you're trying to anticipate where the deer's gonna be, when to draw, if he's in the screen, if you're panned out too far, if you're panned in too far. There's just a lot of nonsense with that, and it caught up with me this time, so I screwed up. I missed the kill, but it's done now. He's on the ground. We're gonna go find him. As soon as I watched the arrow go through that deer, I knew he'd be dead in a matter of seconds. It was just that type of shot. So I didn't give him hardly any time. I was hunting with a buddy of mine was hunting on the opposite end of the property, and I called him up, told him I'd wait for him, and whatever he got down, we'd take up the trail because I knew there was nothing to worry about. We're gonna start tracking up this deer. I had a 20-yard broadside shot. I'm 100% confident with the shot. I seen it go. He was quartering away. I went through one lung, probably hit the other shoulder. I found half of my arrow. It's busted off, but we got good blood at the start, and he should be dead wherever he is. It's been about an hour, so we're hunting this bedding area. He had this thing tore up. I did a lot of scouting 2 days ago, and set up a stand right on this knob that he's got just shredded. Rubs, scrapes, beds. He's definitely been living here for a while. One thing I like to point out, a lot of guys don't like to get into situations like this, but I've been watching my old man kill big deer in their bedrooms for years. You know, that's how I came up in hunting. So, you know, I do a lot of the same thing now, and it just goes to show. I found this spot, I manipulated it with a stand setup where my wind was just perfect from where I believed that he was entering and exiting the bedding area, and, you know, one day a virgin sit and he's done, you know. So but he looked like a good deer, came in a little early. He's got good G4s, 10-point, I'm pretty sure. Let's see what it looks like. We must have got about maybe 70 yards. He kind of did a little funny patter through the woods there, but he was dead in the doornail. Oh, there he is. You right there? Zoom in on that sucker. When the buck came in, I knew he was a shooter, and coming up on him, he was just he was a dandy. Well, here he is. Came up on him. He's a nice actual 12-point. I thought he was a 10 when I seen him in the field. He's got a little split off his brow tine. One brow is busted, which I did not see. I don't like that, but then he's got this G2 that kind of hooks out a little bit over there, and he's a tank. There's a lot of ground shrinkage with this one. I knew he wasn't as big as a lot of my other deer, and I kind of got a pretty high bar. But coming to Wisconsin, I guess I was overwhelmed with I shot 2 deer. I really wanted to get one in Wisconsin. I've never shot a buck in Wisconsin yet. So I'm back in Iowa after killing the 11-point down in Illinois. The gnarly 9. This was just a bruiser buck that I had trail camera pictures of in the summer. Just a massive old mainframe 9-point with some garbage. Just a cool buck, and he was one of the bucks that was on the property that I was looking to go after and shoot.
Back at it, I'm in Iowa. And a buck that I have been watching over the summer. Got just a couple trail camera pictures. I call him the gnarly 9. He was just spotted near the property yesterday. Saw him set up down at the bottom of the steep draw, right on the backside, where he was feeding last night.
I was jumping around just trying to get a look at the 9. There was another big 8 that we had trail camera pictures of that it would have been nice to see on the hoof, and I was actually fortunate enough to see him multiple times. I had a couple decent opportunities at him, but he was a homebody deer, and I think he was a younger deer, so me and Dad kind of both decided to let him walk and not shoot him and see what he can do next year. So for the next week or so, I just kind of jumped around and was trying to get a look at the 9 and wasn't having any luck. It was really kind of slow. There was I was seeing some mediocre deer, some 140-inch type deers, but just not getting a look at that 9. I mean, I had no idea where he was. We had a couple trail camera pictures of him in the summer, and a few days prior to me coming back to Iowa, we had 3 trail camera pictures of him. So I knew he was back in the area. It was just a matter of me catching up to him. Well, it was November 14th, and I hopped into that stand I set up. Everything was calm, sitting in the stand, and from maybe a few hundred yards up on the ridge, just a battle started. I mean, 2 bucks were going at it. Well, they kind of broke apart. Winter was declared, and it got slow. The next thing I knew, coming up the river, it's a giant 9. I didn't think it was the 9, but I knew it was a shooter. He was heavy, tall tine, just a bruiser of a deer. He eventually made his way and gave me a 4-yard shot. Matt. November 14th, the rut's in full swing. I just got it done in Iowa. Just knocked down. He must have been 4 yards. He was right under my tree. Trotted off about, I don't know, 80 yards, and he dropped right there. So we're gonna go check him out. Coming up on the buck, it was actually the gnarly 9. There he is. Well, I just realized that this is the gnarly 9, the deer I've been hunting. And that big tiny ass snapped off was his G2 that was split and had about 6 stickers on it. So, and he had 2 more stickers right at the base. That's what that was. He was an old gnarly 9. Oh man, does that suck. This tine right here, well, you can see how massive it was, but It was a split G2, or it was his brow or whatever, but it was split and it had a bunch of kickers on it. Got numerous trail camera pictures of this deer, and I knew it was an old just tank that I wanted to take down. It was one of the deer I've been looking for, and I got him on the ground now, but he's missing half the stuff that made him cool. So, this is the first year Extreme Outdoor Products XOP hunting out of the stands. Got 2 nice ones on the ground now, and we're gonna look for a 3rd and 4th this year. Stay tuned. Well, it was a killer year. Aside from the screw up in Illinois, I had a really good season. I learned a lot. I learned more and more every season. I just honed my skills more and more and get more addicted. Killing that gnarly 9, that ghost buck was just a big accomplishment for me, and may the addiction continue.